As I started with on the last session, I do want to just reemphasize that the most important keyboard shortcut you'll need to know is Alt Tab. If you're accessing Zoom and then doing Nearpod on the same device, because that will switch between windows on a Chromebook. And I think it's also Alt Tab on Windows and it's Command Tab on a Mac. So you might need to employ that a little bit. And I will just one more time put the link in the chat for this presentation. And we're going to start. I am going to sprinkle in some collaborative, or I should say, I'm going to sprinkle in some sample activities in this session as well. For most of them, what will happen is I'll actually introduce the activity, show you how to create it, and then we'll have a chance to actually see it in action. So again, seeing it from kind of every perspective of the teacher creation side, the teacher deployment side, and the student completing the lesson side. So we're going to start with a collaborate board. And this is an activity that you can do. If anyone has ever used a Padlet before, then this will be very familiar. It's the exact same idea. You'll notice when I go to start the collaborate board that it does give me a question about if I would like to approve student comments before they are posted. So if I hit yes, then you'll see the comments kind of pop up on your side before they would show up on the student side for everyone to see. I'm going to hit no because I think I can trust everybody here. And then once I do that, it says it's waiting for teacher input. It shouldn't be. Do I have to go back a second? Let's try it again. Maybe I didn't answer quickly enough. Yeah, that's what it was. Timed out on me. So now on your side, on the student side, you will see the question that I have. So how have you used Nearpod lessons in your classroom and how would you like to use it? And what would you like to create? So what are some ideas that you have for how you want to use Nearpod, or maybe you have an idea for a particular activity you want to create? And to share your ideas, you can just go right to the bottom. There's a little comment box and you can just start typing away. You can also add a picture if you want. And then you press post and it will show up. I'm going to leave the very helpful comment of I love Nearpod. And then you should now see that I have left that comment and it is now on your collaborate board, as well as the teacher is seeing it on the teacher side as well. So we're going to go ahead and just take a quick second. I'll put the link in the chat one more time. I'd love to hear your ideas. So Sarah's talking about creating some more interactive lessons. And so Nearpod is definitely a really great tool for that. There's all kinds of different interactive things, and we'll definitely be talking about some of those activities. Laura is talking about interactive class discussions, and so Collaborate Board might be one of the tools that you would want to use to do that in your classes, Laura. And I would like to see if I can use Nearpod in some sort of library lesson. So those are some great ideas. So I'll do another quick thing here. I'll post a picture. Let's go ahead and let's just add the Eiffel Tower for no good reason. Hit save. Hit post. So now you'll see that. So that is one of the great things about this tool. Again, is it's a live synchronous thing. I have not tried Collaborate Board asynchronously, but I understand that you can use it asynchronously. So that would be one of those things where as your first couple of students come in and leave comments, that the others that are coming in and accessing the lesson later will see those comments that were left so far, and then they can add their own. So again, just about everything that I can show you in Nearpod can be done synchronously or asynchronously with the live lesson like we're doing now, or with the student-paced one. That I'm going to switch to my other screen here. So when you log into Nearpod, you'll see a screen that looks like this. This is kind of your dashboard place. A lot of times, the first place you might go might be the Nearpod library, because that's where you can search for some of those pre-made things that are already there. But if you want to make something that's your own, you're going to press this blue button here that says Create. And then you're going to have a couple of options, lessons and videos. I don't know if Google Slides shows up in the free version, but in the paid version, they have an add-on where you can actually make like your Google slideshow and then add in Nearpod activities to the Google slideshow and then port it over, which actually can make it a little bit easier. And I might show that off a little bit in the next session. But at the very least, you should see lessons and videos. And I'm just going to press on lessons. And then we're going to get to a page that looks like this. And so once I'm here, I'm going to go and click on this pencil right next to where it says Untitled Lesson. So I can give this presentation a name. So I'm just going to call this Nearpod 201. If you want to add a description, you can. I usually never do that because I don't think the kids ever see it if they're accessing it. If you want to do it by grade, you can as well. These are all optional. This slide transitions is new, that slider. And I'm not entirely sure what that does, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But I can hit submit. And now you'll see my updated title, Nearpod 201. And all of the different activities and pages to this, I'm going to add in this space at the bottom. So I'm actually just going to press this button right here that says add content and activities. And so the first one that we are going to talk about is the video, because I think that that's something that a lot of people use. It seems like it's just a really great way to introduce content in a way that the kids will engage with a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and press video. And what we're going to see now, after it loads, is we're going to come to a screen that looks like this. And so there are all kinds of different ways that you can add videos. The first is when you come in, you're going to be brought to Nearpod's video library. So this is where all of their video content can be found. So just like in the lesson library, you can find all their lessons. You can find all of their videos under the video library. And so if you just wanted to search for something, you could use the little search bar right here, say search for videos. Or if you wanted to sort by different factors, you can. As I mentioned in the first training with the lesson library, you can sort by standards and you can search for mains standards. And then that will narrow it down to ELA, math, science, and social studies. If you want to choose one of those. And then you can search further by grade level. And then go to 5th grade. Oh, nothing here for this one. Interesting. So maybe if we just search for Common Core, let's try that. Might come up with something more. I'm not sure how well their standards are done. I haven't really found a lot of programs that really do them well, especially if you're not in a state like California or Texas. So obviously for math, we're Common Core, so you could just search for Common Core standards for math. You might get more luck there. So I'm going to clear. You can also just search by subject. So if you just wanted to search, generically for math and then narrow it down by grade, you can get there as well. And there's more subjects you can search here as well. So I'm not sure how much library stuff. I know we talked about it, Terry, last time, with there not being a whole lot. That would end up falling under other. I also wonder maybe if some of it would fall under technology in terms of some of the digital literacy skills you would cover around like researching and sources and all that stuff. So I might find some stuff there as well. but there's all kinds of different options for the video library. This next part is probably my favorite, which is YouTube. So you can bring pretty much any YouTube video into Nearpod. Um, and I'm actually going to do that in just a second. So it's very simple. All you need to do, you can search. You can do a search if you don't have a video handy and you're looking for something to watch. Or in my case, where I have this video queued up for us to watch, I'm just going to copy and paste that link right into there and hit search. And then there's the video right there. If you do the copy and paste thing, you'll get this little disclaimer, which is like, please review this video to make sure that, there's nothing age inappropriate, kind of a CYA thing for them. So that's pretty self-explanatory. You got a video on YouTube that you want to share. I think we all use YouTube in some way. So I would encourage you to go ahead and bring those right in. I am going to go over the my videos part, or actually I'm going to say upload a video. So if you have a video that is, say it's not on YouTube, or it's like a video that you recorded. So let's say you made a video in Screencastify, or you did you recorded a screen recording or something along those lines. You could just directly upload it into Nearpod and then have it accessible. The only thing with that is it counts against your storage limit. So if you're on the free version, your storage limit is very small. It's 100 megabytes. And it doesn't take long for videos to get to, a very large file size that's really going to take a chunk out of your limit. So that's the only thing with that. For the lessons that I'm creating, where I make my own videos and put them into Nearpod, I'm actually just uploading them into YouTube. And then I'm linking from there, because if you get something from YouTube, it doesn't count against your storage limit. So that's why I would do that. But if you choose to upload a video, you can upload it directly from your computer. You can port it over from Google Drive. You've got those options. And then anything that you upload into your library shows up under my videos. So if you wanted to use the same video in a different one, you wouldn't have to re-upload. You could just select the video that's already there and have it. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to go ahead and add a YouTube video. And so I've searched for it. I have the link that I want, and I just need to click on it. And then I'm going to press save. And we're going to sit back and relax. It usually doesn't take that long for it to work itself out, which is really, really nice. So here's where things get really cool. It's not just a matter of you put the YouTube video in, you have to watch the whole thing, you don't have any control. Nearpod adds some tools that you can use to kind of isolate to a specific part of the video. And it also gives you the ability to add activities. So you can actually kind of interrupt the video in segments with questions for the kids. So a nice sort of kind of check in to make sure that they're paying attention, they understand. So we're going to go over those. So if you look on the screen, your video is going to play right here. And then in the bottom right corner, there's this little button that says trim. And I'm going to press it. And so what this does is this allows you to trim off beginning and end segments in the video that you don't want. So that way you can kind of limit yourself to just the part of the video that you do want. So if you have any sort of introductory things that are just time wasters, you can just slash them off and be good. So in this case, I know that the video for this one starts right around 9 seconds. So I'm just clicking and dragging where these two lines are, and I'm moving it, and you can kind of see it scrubbing. It's showing me what the frame that it's on. So I can kind of look and see, okay, so the title frame is gone. So this is probably a good place for me to trim on this side. And at the end, same thing. Let's go ahead. I don't need, let's see. I don't need this end title either. So probably right there is a good place to end. So you can see now that there's a little bit of gray on each side. So this is the part of the video that's going to be cut out. The kids won't see this. And then everything in blue is what they will see. So when I've got it where I want to trim it, I'm just going to go back to the bottom right corner and hit trim. And then very quickly, it says video trimmed. So now when I press play, oh, I need to go back to the beginning here.
Hi, my name is Paul.
So you can see it went right into the video. It skipped the title part. It didn't play it, which is really nice. Another thing that you can do in here as well is also in the bottom right corner is captions. So I can go in and add captions. And in addition to having English captions, there are also all these different languages. So it will translate the video for the kids. So if you have any kids that are ESL, this is a great potential tool for you to use. So if I say Chinese traditional and I start playing the
Paula,
video.
And I am a software engineer at Microsoft. Let's talk about how the internet works.
Right. So that's going to be in a language they can understand, which actually for this, you don't set this, but the kids can just go and turn this on. So they have the ability to, select the language that would work for them. Or in the case of older kids, because we know they do this, the language that doesn't work for them. But in any case, you've got all these different languages you can use. You can just click on it again to turn the captions off.
It works.
But just another potential support for kids. You can also speed up and slow the video down with this little stopwatch right here. So if you wanted to play the video.
My job relies on networks being able to.
Okay, so you've got some different options there, or I should say the kids have different options there. Although actually, if you're in live mode and you're playing it from your computer, you would be controlling all of these. But it's not something that you set in this part of the activity. It's something that you would do in the live part. So here's the last part that's really awesome. We're gonna play. I'm gonna play about 30 seconds of video. All right, so I'm gonna create a check right here. So let's say, because I know we all do this, we show a video and then we pause it and then we ask the kids a question, right? A lot of times that happens. We want to do those check-ins to make sure that they're getting it. So in Nearpod, you can actually build those in where they're responding to a prompt you might have in the video, which again, you're doing this in your class already if you're in person, but the added benefit of this is that you can get responses from all your kids. You have something that's kind of documented so you can kind of see in the moment. So I'm going to add a question here, and you see it'll say add activity at 0:29. So it'll tell you where the time is, where your playhead is. And I'm going to add a video right here, or I'm going to add a question, I should say. And you'll see that it has two different types. I can add an open-ended question or a multiple choice question. In this case, I'm going to ask an open-ended question. And very simply, I'm going to enter the question I want to ask, which is going to be, who invented the modern internet? I'm just going to hit save. That's it. You now have a question there. And you'll see as you kind of continue to scrub through the video, you've got this blue point here to let you know, hey, you've got a question here. So when we go to watch this in the live presentation mode in just a minute, when you play the video, once it gets to this very point, it's just going to stop the video right there and go straight to the question, which is really nice. So I want to add my second check right here. So I'm just going to hit add activity at 2:17. We're going to add a multiple choice question. And I'm just going to ask very simply, what does IP stand for? And I can give some different choices. We're going to say, what if it stands for iguana pose or igloo protection or internet protocol And the last one will be interested party. And then you're going to click the check mark next to the one that's the correct answer. And then just like before, I'm going to hit save. And so now what you'll see is might have gone a little too quickly here. All right.
Then is called its.
With 8.
So now you see I have 2 dots to let me know that these are where, when we go to show this live, it's going to interrupt. So once you have the video chopped up and everything trimmed out the way that you want it, all you got to do is hit save. And now that is going to be part of your Nearpod presentation. You'll see I have one page here for the video that we just did. I'm going to go back to my other desktop here. And if you want to find your way back into, let's see if it works here. So this Nearpod will be available later in the student paced mode. So you can always come through here and take a look, because basically I made a lot of slides for the things that I'm talking about. So here's what I'm talking about. So in live mode, on your screen right now, you would see eyes up front. On mine, it gives me a choice. Do I want to play it and have them watch it from my device? And then theirs is just going to continue to say eyes up front. Or do I want to have them play it at their own pace? I'm going to select teacher plays. You can see that on your side, it will continue to say eyes up front.
Hi, my name is.
Here we go. So who invented the protocols that created the modern internet? So here's my question right here. This is what I'm going to respond. Now you'll also see on the teacher side that I now have the list of students who are connected to the session and then what their response is. And I can always go to the bottom and press hide student names, so we could keep that confidential. But I'm going to go ahead and put the answer in here and then hit submit. And then now you'll see the answer has been submitted. On the student side, it's not going to let them do anything else until I continue the video. On the teacher side, if there was a response that I wanted to share, I could just press share with class. So you would now all see it on your screens, so we could discuss it. I can just hit unshare as well. And then when I'm ready, I can just go on. Actually, nope, don't press the arrow. That's okay. I would just press the play button in the bottom left and continue on. Go ahead, Sarah.
So this has to do with the storage, like you mentioned, like making the videos and having the videos take storage room. But say I were to make a video and I'm using it, but then I have other videos that I want to use in my lessons. So I have to let that video that I made go to save room in my library for other lessons. So if I have to let a video go because I don't have storage, do I lose all the work that I did on that video? Do you understand what I'm asking?
So do you lose? Yeah. Do you lose the original file? So you wouldn't lose the original file if you have it saved elsewhere on your computer. So say you had it in Google Drive somewhere. Deleting it from the lesson library in Nearpod wouldn't delete it from your Google Drive. So you would still have that original thing. I'm not sure how it might impact, like, if you're using it in a lesson and then suddenly the video is not in your library anymore. Is that going to break the lesson? I honestly haven't played around enough to know whether that happens or not. So at the end of the day, what I do just to kind of get around this storage space issue is I upload my videos directly to YouTube.
Yeah.
And so go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
I guess my question maybe is more like, the whole lesson. Like, what if I'm like, I've done some Nearpods before where there's videos and then there's other content and games. And so I'm just wondering if I make this lesson and then I don't have room for it in my storage anymore.
So I've had lessons that I've uploaded that have probably had like 20 to 25 minutes of video total, and everything was uploaded to YouTube, and the total size of the lesson ended up being like 2 megabytes.
Okay.
So, and that would end up being like basic, like if you have photos, like if you have a picture for an activity or something like
Yeah.
that's what's going to take the most space. So
Okay.
I would say if your videos are, and again, they specifically have to go to YouTube. So if you do like the upload a video option and you link it to Google Drive, like it's pulling it from Google Drive and putting it in your library. So it's going to count against your storage. It doesn't just like reference, create a reference to Google Drive and keep it there. So you specifically want to do YouTube. And what I do is like, I can pull up my dashboard here. All the videos that I have for my lessons are all unlisted. So that way it's not like people, like I actually for some reason have like 9 subscribers to my channel. When I upload a video and set it as unlisted, they don't see it under their subscriptions. It kind of limits, you have to have the link to watch it. And at the same time, like you can watch it in here and you don't have to worry about like, do they have the right link or anything like that. So that's just what I do is just to get around the storage thing is I put everything in YouTube. All right. Well, the next thing we're going to do, this one is really simple. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add web content. And web content basically is you are pushing the link to a website to the students and having it open on their computer. So that's another great thing with Nearpod is with something like that basically opens up the entire internet for you to use with your kids while also guiding them through the experience, which is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say for this activity, I wanted the students to read a passage and then respond to the question. So in this case, what's going to happen, I'm going to press add content activities again. And then I'm going to press on this one here that says web content. And then it's very simple. You enter the website URL and you press save. So in this case, I queued up a video here, or a website here. It's about the world's first website. You guys didn't think you were going to learn about the internet today, were you? Just going to paste it. I can test this link just to make sure that I didn't miss anything in my copy paste. That looks good. And I'm going to hit save. And we'll wait. There we go. So that's now my second slide. And if we go back to the live session of Nearpod, what you should now see if you're in the session is it should have loaded this web page for you automatically. It'll just pop it right up on your screen. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of interactivity for this part of it from the teacher side. You're just going to see on this screen, hey, you're sharing this website. But on the student side, like I said, it just pops up right for them to look at. So this is a really good thing for, there's a reading passage, there's a news article, there's something that you want the kids to look at, or there's something you want the kids to do. And then you might add an activity afterwards to check in and see what they learned from it, which is really nice. I mean, this is such a great ability to do this, because we all know, like, we try to get kids to get to a website, and they all have 55 different ways to get there, and they all get lost and all that kind of stuff. So again, really helping to kind of guide their experience in the lesson, I think, is really helpful. I'm going to go to the next page. So when I go to the next page, that's another great thing. Actually, I would say it's a mixed thing. When you go to the next page, it'll close that window that it opened. There are actually sometimes when I kind of wish that, hey, could we just leave it open? Because I might want them to reference it later. But in this case, we can't. So now, like I said, let's say I wanted my kids to read about the world's first website, and then I wanted to ask them a question about it, ask them to respond. So that's where I would ask an open-ended question. And I'm going to slide back here. I'm going to add another new slide. I should also show you really quickly, your slides are reorderable. So you can just click and drag to reorder your slides. So I know sometimes for me, I like, as I'm making a lesson, I'll make the activities that go along with it. And then I go afterwards and record the videos, and then I add them in later, and then I order them. So I don't necessarily do everything in one swoop. So being able to order stuff that the way you want is actually really helpful. So I'm going to hit add. So this one is under activities. So there's two tabs to this. There's content with all of these things, and then there's activities. And so I'm going to ask an open-ended question. And so let's go ahead and ask a question here. My question is going to be, how has Tim Berners, actually, I think he's Sir Tim Berners-Lee, technically. I think he's been knighted in England. Right. So there we go. That's the question I want them to respond to. With open-ended questions, you can kind of format things in a way you want. So if you wanted to make your text bigger, or you wanted to bold some parts of it, or add bulleted lists or whatever, that you do have some of that. There is also special, you can also put in like math things too, because sometimes typing out math equations can be really difficult on a computer. So you can also do that with this little thing right here, which I have not done anything with so far. So don't ask me how to use it. So once you've asked the question, here's some other things that you can do. So the first thing is you can add a timer. So let's say you're doing this live and you only have a few minutes. You got a whole bunch of other stuff you got to get to. You can add a timer for this question. You give them a limit to how long they can work on it. So I can go ahead and add a limit. I'm going to say 5 minutes. So, and we'll see what that looks like on the student side in just a second. So you can set a timer. You can add media, which this is a really great option for, or another great option, I should say, for student supports. And I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about student supports in just a second. So when I click on this, I can upload an image, or I can record my voice. So if you wanted to narrate the question, you could do that. I could link to a PDF. I could add a video, add an audio clip, or I can show web content. So you can use this in a number of different ways. And again, it's really about supporting your learners. In this case, I might actually want to, because I want them to cite specific parts of this article in their response, right? I'm going to add this to right here. And what'll happen is they'll see a box like this on their side, and they can just click on it to open it. That way, they're not trying to have to remember from memory what it was they read. They can come back and open this tab on their own computer and go through and consult and find what it is they wanted to use for their passage. The last thing here, and again, this is another really great student support tool, is enable student audio recordings. And what this does is when you go to do this question, you're going to have this little text box that shows up in the middle of your screen, but then you're also going to have a microphone button, and you can record your response with your voice instead. We know, especially the younger we get, that typing is an obstacle for kids, for a lot of kids. It's one of those things where if you're not fast enough at it, it becomes a block for your writing, because by the time you get to typing the thing that you wanted to type, you've forgotten what it is you wanted to type, right? And that's detrimental to your writing. So having something like this, again, just one more support for kids to respond in a way that is appropriate for them. But in any case, I've got the question I wanted to ask. I've added my web content, my history article as a resource, and I've enabled student audio recordings. And I didn't want to get rid of the timer. I'm going to add the timer back. So I got my timer. I'm going to hit save. You can kind of see as we've gone through the different types of activities that a lot of the different parts and pieces that you can add to things are very similar across different types of activities. We're going to do draw it real quick in a second. It's going to look very similar as well. We're going to come back here. And so here's what it looks like with a timer. So right now on the teacher side, you can see that I can see what people have responded, which nobody's responded yet, the question, and the timer. On the student side, they don't see anything yet because I haven't started the timer. Once I press start activity, you're going to see now on the student side, there's a countdown. And now they're going to see the question. They're going to see the timer. They're going to have the link to the article, just like I provided. They're going to have the option to record audio down here. So all kinds of different ways that they can respond to this question. One thing from the student side is you're not going to see anything for their answer until they press submit. I was going to say Tim Berners-Lee's the GOAT. Greatest of all time. So, and I could submit that answer. Another thing that will happen too is if your kids are working on their response and they run out of time, it will just submit whatever they had written down as their response. So you'll end up seeing it here after time's run out, even though they haven't finished, but it doesn't just get rid of it. It'll submit what they have at that point when you ran out of time, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about drawing. The Draw It tool is really powerful too. So once again, add content and activities. This one also is under the activities tab. And I would just encourage you to just check out all these different types of things. Like I don't have enough time. I probably need a whole additional session or a whole additional hour just to go over more of these, like the 3D stuff, the simulation stuff. There's some really great stuff in there for math and science. There's VR field trips. I mean, there's just the time to climb is like Kahoot. If anyone's done Kahoot before, there's just so much in here. It's really amazing. I totally sound like a shill right now. But I'm going to go ahead and hit draw it. And so on this one here, I can add an image. I can just leave it blank, which in that case, the students would just see a white canvas that they could draw on. I can, if I have a picture I wanted to use, I can just upload and select it from my computer or Google Drive, or you can also search for an image on Google, see if you can find one that works. Or if I pull this tab out, you can explore from their Draw It library. So I'm going to look for, is it second grade I wanted to look for? Might have been. Yeah, that's it. So you can sort by subjects, sort by grades, and then you're going to see a list of Draw It template backgrounds that they have in their library. And you basically would just select one, and it's going to add it to the back. So if I'm doing a digital citizen activity for the kids, this might be something I could use. I can hit this little caret right here to make this tab go away so I can see the full thing. You can resize it too if it doesn't quite fit the way that you want. And then here again, here's my box for adding my supporting content. Picture, audio, PDF, anything you want there, right? There's my timer. There's my description that the kids are going to see. So all the same things that I was just talking about with the open-ended question. I just hit save. So we add that question. I'm going to go back to this tab here. Going to pull up another activity. So now if you're a student on here, this is what you're going to see. Your drawing tools are at the bottom. So you've got a pencil tool, and you can click on the pencil to change the color and the width of the pencil. You've got the highlighter. So if you had like a text thing, you could have them highlight an important idea. You got a text box where you can add a response and move it around. You can add your own image. So if you wanted to have them find a picture of find a picture of a building that's shaped like a whatever, right? They might be able to search for it and share that example. Then you've got an eraser tool. Undo and redo. The trash can will clear everything that you've done so far. So those are the tools that you can have in your Draw. And again, it's a really, really powerful tool. And you can see that as I'm working on mine, on the teacher side, it will update as you go. So I can see on here. So, this might be a time where the kids are just kind of working on their own. I'm not saying a whole lot, but I'm kind of checking in and looking and seeing what they're working on. All kinds of awesome things here. We're going to do the last thing here. We're going to talk about student supports. And I've already introduced a couple of them. So again, in a lot of the ones that we've talked about already, we have the ability to add media. So you could narrate what it is you want them to read. For those kids who are really struggling as readers, I can go in here, press on audio recorder, and then, is it recording now? No, I got to press this button. Use the diagram to explore the word digital citizen. So I do that. I can play it back.
Use the diagram.
Oh, that's loud. I can trim as well, because I had a couple of seconds of dead air there, and get rid of that. Cut the ends off, hit save. So now the students will end up seeing this button that they can play on their end so they can listen to it. So that's one way to do this. We talked about the media reference as well as another option. Unfortunately, you're a little bit limited you can only add one thing. So if you wanted to add the link to a website or a video, you'd have to not include an audio recording. It only lets you add one of those things. But you can do that. I'm going to delete this recording. Again, you've got all kinds of different options for supports. You might even want to, and I might have them somewhere. I might have the link. I'll add it to my resources page afterwards. I saw somebody had put out like some really, really great slides explaining what like the different tools on each type of activity were. So you might even add an image of something like that where it's like, okay, here's how you use the draw it. So they can, if they're not sure how to do something, they can select that too. So that's an option. We talked about also with, let's go back to the open-ended question. There are a couple of different types of activities where you can enable those student audio recordings so they can just give you the answer with their voice. And then this last part, which to me is wicked cool, is what's called Immersive Reader. And so if you notice near the top right corner, I have this little icon that's got a book and a speaker in it. So this is the Immersive Reader. And what happens with that is when I click on it, it kind of takes over your screen a little bit, and you'll see that it's going to give you the text. It does some different things because sometimes on some web pages, the text is really, really small, and it's kind of hard to read. So it kind of spreads things out to make it a little bit more easy to read, fewer distractions. It's got the text to speech, so you can hit play.
Use the diagram to explore the word digital citizen.
Okay, that was really fast. So I can click next to that where the voice settings are. I'm going to slow that down a bit. I can make it a male voice or a female voice.
Use the diagram to explore the word digital citizen.
So you've got that. Under text preferences, you can change the text size. So again, the idea of this is making it as easy for kids to read as possible. So you can make the text bigger if you need to. You can change the font. As much as I hate Comic Sans, I've been told it's actually a really good font for students with dyslexia. So that's an option. You can choose different themes. So, and again, this is on the kids side. They're controlling this. So you've got different options in how you can make the text appear to make it easier to read. Another thing that's really, really cool is you can break words into syllables. So you can help kids read that way by helping them through each of the syllables of the word. And you can also identify different parts of speech. The nouns are purple, the verbs are red, adjectives are green, all these different things. Again, just another way to help kids through understanding what it is they're reading. And then the last part is reading preferences. I can choose a line focus and make it so that, I guess I have to play back at the beginning.
Use the diagram to explore the word digital citizen.
So you can see in this case, I'm only seeing one line of text at a time. Now it's 3 lines. If there were more, then I could show more. Picture dictionary. This is really cool too. So for certain words, if you click on the word, it will give you a picture as an example of what that word is. So it's a picture definition of the word, and you can click on it just to listen to that word.
Diagram.
So explore, again, you can see, right? It's not for all words, but it's for a lot of them. So that's really cool. And then you can also translate. So again, for your kids where English is not their first language, you can take basically any piece of text and you can also change the language. And there's a lot of different there's a lot of different languages in here. So now I've made it French. I can go back and change it back to original. I can toggle that. So again, just another really, really powerful tool that we have in this. Supports. This is an option that you have to enable in your settings. It's not on by default. So I'm just going to show you really quickly how you can enable that. And then we're going to finish up, I promise. I've been talking for too long. In the top right corner in your dashboard, actually, I got to exit out of this because I want to be back at my dashboard. I'm going to click on my icon here in the top right. I'm going to go to lesson settings. And then here's an option here that says enable immersive reader. So you would just turn that slider on. And that's, again, just a support for the kids